somebody who is a good friend of mine. A few years ago, I started to establish myself as a pregnancy chiropractor in South Florida. I started teaching for the Florida Chiropractic Society, and I really started to feel good about myself, yeah. And all of a sudden, I see an article in Pathways magazine featuring Dr. John Edwards of Mama's Chiropractic. And I just started feeling like, who the fuck is this guy? Thinking that he's gonna come in on my territory, right? And we ended up getting to connect one day, and we sat down. Have you ever been next to somebody who you thought was like a peer, a colleague, and you realize that they are so far ahead of you in every single thing? I am continually humbled by this man's expertise, by this man's passion, by the work that he does that goes far beyond just being in practice. He also happens to be the best dressed man in chiropractic. Please help me welcome Dr. John Edwards.
So, I don't know if anybody else caught this, but what a bold choice for a guy who almost lost his vision to open up with Valley of the Blind. I mean, Ian serves as the poster child for why I don't let my son use Nerf guns without glasses. That's... Yeah. I wanted to come back to something, and this doesn't look right because it wasn't on his deck. It's on my deck now. But this is the graph of membership that I want to just come back to that Justin talked about last night, because this is super duper important what happened here. I want you to see in 2019, Jeannie stops teaching, we get a little bit of a dip in membership, and it's a little flat. And then do you see what happened? Would Pam start teaching? Yeah, he was talking about, as we talk about cultural authority, and we talk about leadership in this profession, last I knew, because I was a student ACA member when I was at Palmer College in Davenport, and I was in the golden era of the Riekman years, but we were like claiming that we represented the profession. But you look at numbers like that, and you look at jumps like that, and you look at increases like this, and the people that are in this room and the expertise that's in this room, things like this are what are going to change the world, quite literally. It's because of involvement. It's because you're making the choice to be at places like this when you could have been home. Super important. So I wanted to just, great job. Great job to that guy, right? Because nobody else, I was texting with him, I swear, like, Justin and I were separated at birth, but we just didn't know it. Because there are so many parallels with our careers and our lives. Virgil Strang, award winners at Palmer. He's in Florida, I'm at Davenport. I mean, it starts there and then ends up with where we are today. Even silly jokes. If you don't know, I like Star Wars. He sends a meme out about, could it be that Bigfoot is really just a Wookiee who got lost? And I went, dude, he gets me, right? I was wearing my Bigfoot socks yesterday. So there's a couple things I just want to highlight really quickly today, because a lot of you have heard me talk now, and some of you have questions, and some of you haven't heard me talk, and so you have questions. And I want to really introduce a couple concepts today, but first is really I want to highlight something that I just recently earned, which is that Perinatal Certified, and I'm very proud of that. Now, why would somebody who went through the diplomate process go back and get Perinatal Certification? Does that seem like a step backwards to anybody? You're right, it's not. Because there have been so many great things that have been added into our curriculum since the time I earned that. There are so many leaders out in this audience, people that you see speaking up here, people that have been added to the curriculum, that it has absolutely, like every single one of those classes has impacted my practice. I am kind of a ICPA baby. This is what you see. Like when you take all of the classes and you put it together, it shows up in a suit, in a beard, and a funny mustache, talking back at you. Okay? So this is what, since 2018, this looks like. And when Jeannie and I talked about the need for a tent pole for some way to bridge the gap between Webster Certification and the ICPA, this was something that she and I talked about. And when we talked with the profession, the perinatal chiropractors who are out there doing this work, and we said, who needs to be part of this? Whose classes should be a piece of this? I mean, to see this realized and to be able to take this exam, I don't know if this helps anybody out in the audience, but it took me 5 times to pass my own examination. Yeah. Average is 14, so I think I'm doing okay. We've changed things up with the questions, so it should be easier. If you've been intimidated by that exam, go back, try it again. We'll keep on making it easier. It's fine. So this is the question that I have for you guys about where are you right now? I paid a lot of money during the pandemic to do a couple things. One was I invested in myself in learning how to do a better job of creating kind of workshops. I want to be a better teacher. And so I joined a program that Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi put together. And I spent thousands of dollars to basically learn one thing, and I'm going to give that to you for free right now. It's the secret to happiness. It's what human beings really look for. It's not gathering things. It's not gathering prestige. It's not gathering power or money or any of that stuff. It's progress. It's progressing in your life, that you will get to a place and you think you made it, and then you're there for a while, and then you go, it's starting to get itchy. I'm a lifelong learner. And these photos up here represent different places where I was here in these rooms. That picture there is the birth story of my son, Forrest. We've been sharing birth stories, and Forrest was my impetus for becoming the chiropractor that stands in front of you right now. Because Forrest birth was a 47-hour labor at home with a transfer that ended up in a C-section. And when the guy who was teaching at the state level about perinatal chiropractic suddenly sees that, hey, I've taken Webster 4 times, and I've taken the spinning babies class once. Why can't I save my own baby from this? You can better believe that lit a fire under my ass to figure out why. We were having a conversation last night about this. Like, where does the knowledge responsibility end if we're going to claim this area for ourselves? And so that picture over there is the last time I took Jeannie. She was in Daytona, and she asked if I'd come because she said, I've got a whole lot of people. It's like 200 people, and I can't check everybody. And we've got to do this we're doing this new test, and I need another set of hands that I trust to be able to look at them. Will you come up and help? And I said, sure. And about a month later, she asked me to teach for the ICPA. And so that picture down on the bottom there is me teaching my first class. I am so sorry. You poor people from Northwestern Sciences. I mean, you guys, Northwestern, those people were so nice. And I was in, like, I consider Minneapolis to be birth mecca. I mean, Carol lives up there. Gail Tully lives up there. Just like if you want to have a great birth, this is a good place to be. Ashley's doing it right. And I'm up there teaching probably in the same room that one of my very good friends and mentors teaches in. And I'm sitting there with, like, replicating Jeannie's notes. Does everybody remember that it was just like a Word document? And I'll tell you, instructors, tell me if I'm wrong, taking away PowerPoints from these people is death to your ratings. Never mess with their PowerPoints. Never, ever. Right, Marcia? Yeah, don't mess with their PowerPoints. Michael, stay on my PowerPoints. How many times do we see that, right? Yeah, so I didn't do PowerPoints at all. I just did a deeply linked document, and I thought that was awesome. No, I'll just put it up. It's on the screen, and you can read along, and I'll just talk to you. That was dumb. But I learned. I made progress. I listened to feedback that you guys give me about, we need a PowerPoint. And so by the time I got to Omaha, to where my hometown was, where I get to teach in front of all my people, I was taking all of this stuff and trying to fit it into this 12-hour package. Thank God Peter Kevorkian and Jeannie and Justin and Joel came to my Columbus seminar and gave me some structure to it, right? They gave me this idea that we need to talk about subluxation as the overarching umbrella for what we do. And then we need to introduce the neurology concepts that we've learned from Dr. Hall. And then we're going to talk about the fascia. And so that is like the evolution in front of you in real time from the feedback that you give to us as instructors and why this progress matters. But the reason I'm asking where you are right now is because I was in your seats. I know what it's like 5 years from now. I know what I was like 10 years ago. I know that I was hungry and I was really interested and I would take things over and over again because I just wanted to learn. I wanted to master this stuff. And so you see the very first workshop that I ever got to give here at a summit, man, the name's on there. Marcia Schaefer, Building a Home for Baby. I got to follow the ICA Chiropractor of the Year, Dr. Julie Hunt. And then behind me comes Rick Sorolla, who unveils his entire pelvic biomechanics map that he has on the website. It's just like, that was where I got set. And as I'm up there on stage talking about these spinning babies techniques and this way of thinking through an analysis system of the pelvis, I see a hand in the back, and she says, "Hi, my name's Dr. Carol Phillips. That's my work." And I go, "Oh, hi." She says, "You're doing a great job, though." And I go, "Hi, good." I taught Gail that stuff. Cool. Santos technique, huh? Yeah. This is my number one. I have a question, a request here. As we're talking about progress, does anybody else like Star Wars? All right, good. So here is the interesting thing for me about Star Wars in progress, is that Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, will always be Luke Skywalker. There will never be another Luke Skywalker. I mean, you can go little guy, right? But go old, he's going to be Mark Hamill. And that was a pigeonhole for him that he could never get out of. That was just an identity for him, that his entire career, he's just always going to be Luke Skywalker. Without somebody like that, the franchise doesn't carry itself through. But unless the franchise gets beyond just his story, then we don't get Baby Yoda. Who doesn't love Baby Yoda? Right? Progress is so important. And so there have been some things that, because I've just been curious, I say I have two superpowers. One is I fail miserably. I screw up all the time, but then I learn about it and I write about it. And what I've been able to do with my career is do a couple really interesting things. One is I think I've got something that can help birth a whole lot, and that's this UT angle. But if you haven't, can you raise your hand if you've taken my seminar so I know who I've got in the room? If you have your hands up and you're female and you're wearing pants, could I please have you, I need 5 of you to come up here for a special prize. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, thank you. This is the most frequently emailed question that I have. from attendees at my seminar, which is, am I doing this UT angle thing right? And most people, the place where they're messing it up is where they're putting their dot for the posterior aspect of the greater trochanter. So what I want to do, could I have you all face this way? Special prizes. Let's see here. We'll go with pink. Actually, I'll give you a choice. What color would you like?
Pink.
Pink. There you go. Posterior aspect of the greater trochanter, right down the seam of the pants. See how it makes a dot right there in the center, right here? Yeah. Oh, wow, 5 already. Goodness gracious. There. Turn that way. Yep. There. 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 It makes a dot in the center of the circle. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help. Special prizes. Great. The second is that fascia messes with your indicators. First time I realized this was when I tried doing a psoas arm sign, and I saw that my indicator changed when I did a side lying release. So if you're going to be in the boat of, I don't need to do fascia work because I'm a chiropractor and I only adjust subluxations, then I'm going to have some arguments with you. Because this is something that I just can't reconcile. Even an equal when we're doing a Webster leg check is not the same as being clear. If you're taking QR codes for this, get ready to have your mind blown. Because when you go to this link tree, what you're going to get is a whole lot of the detailed stuff on the visual field things that we talk about in class. I spent the last year listening to feedback and trying to put together more and more resources for the people who take our courses. And so one of the things that I did was I created a playlist. There's over 30 videos in this playlist that help you understand different aspects of perinatal practice in a way that I don't have time to explain it in the 12 hours, and it's free for you. It's all organized. I'll have it on a couple more slides. Yeah. Dr. Hall up there was one of the most influential people that switched something in my brain that we have the power to be able to change something here. And it wasn't until recently that I understood that there may be a cortical influence over something that I've been talking about in the seminars but not really owning. It's that L5 modification, where we bring those heels up, and I said there's something about the L5 in there. I want to propose a hypothesis, and it's going to be like an addendum to Webster. It's a project that I'm working on right now, and I'd love feedback on it. I think what we're looking at here, because if it's just biomechanical, it should be there every time. I'm doing a file review from a study that Joel and I did where right now I'm looking at about, I got 52 patients that I'm going through their file reviews. Been under chiropractic care for their pregnancies, and I'm looking at how frequently am I finding this, and how often is it going away, and does it come back? And are there things like the SOT category 2 or sacroiliac joint hypermobility involved with this? But also, is there a cortical finding? And what I'm starting to find is if we're having high flexor tone, because remember what we were talking about before, where if the flexors aren't relaxing, if they're hypertonic, what Dr. Hall talks about is sometimes that's a brain problem, not a spine problem. And what we need to start understanding is how the two connect. What I want to do is help take the experience that we've all been having in practice and help move our technique forward. Rather than just sitting with our Luke Skywalker, right, who is amazing. Webster technique itself is an amazing paradigm shift for what we can do for pregnant pelvises. But if what we're going to do is help continue to move it forward, it needs to continue to be studied. It can't just be left on its own. There's my picture with Jeannie. There's your QR code. There's also the seminar where all the other instructors were gathering in media after she passed away. There's also the seminar where I met my wife. There's a seminar that I talked about where I had some of the most influential mentors in my life get together and give me feedback about how to make this really great. I never thought when I was sitting in the seats there that I'd ever get simultaneously cheered and booed for my, thanks again for that, Steph, having my name used as a curse when I was sitting in the seats where you're at today. But I gotta tell you, there is no place where I feel more at home and in my own skin than in front of the people that are sitting in this room today. Thank you for that.
You won't be unhappy.